Well, there we have a 2-liter turbo. Yeah, that orange shit. That's the surge tank for the coolant that they use on the turbo engines. All that orange shit, there was a leaking radiator cap, and I've since put this new one on it, so I just haven't cleaned it off yet. I will, eventually. Nice GO4 turbo there. Factory WRX. Now, if you watched my previous video, which I don't know if you did or not, you would have known that I had this motor all apart, and I was putting head gaskets, timing belt, valve cover gasket, all the other bullshit that goes wrong with these things. I was putting it all in, replacing it all while I had it out. This motor came out of a 2002 Subaru WRX sedan, in case you cared. I didn't care what it came out of, as long as it was a WRX between 02 and 05. With a 5-speed, that's all I care about. I'm driving it now, daily driving it. Got, Jesus, gotta be close to 1,500 miles on it now. I'm driving it back and forth to school every day. Well, it's foggy, I just pulled it in so I could do the video. It's, I got my, this is your bypass valve. And this is just manifold pressure, and this is a non-critical location. So I put my tap for my boost gauge in here, and that runs up through right there. Just got it screwed to the A-pillar trim for now. So you're probably wondering what I use from what car. Well, I obviously use the engine and everything that goes with the engine, all the accessories, most of the accessories anyway, from the WRX. I use the cross member, front cross member, engine cross member from the WRX, the power steering rack. I did use the spacers that go in between the subframe and the body. I used those along with the Forester control arm brackets that bolt behind the subframe. I used those. I used the Forester transmission cross member, and I used the Forester rear subframe. Everything in the back is Forester, except for the fuel pump, because you need the WRX fuel pump. I use the Forester suspension. Brakes for now are all Forester. In the springtime, I'm going to upgrade to WRX 4-pots. There's just the WRX that I bought didn't have them. I wish it did, but it didn't. WRX airbox. Now the car that I bought was wrecked, and it didn't have this airbox or the tube that goes from here to here. And so I had a short ram intake on it that I had gotten for free. So I was using that, and it was causing a misfire code for all 4 cylinders. So I found the factory airbox, found one in the junkyard. So I bought that, but I didn't get the tube. They didn't have the tube that went from here to here. So I kind of got that after engineered together for now. But the important thing is where the Maf sensor is. Everybody that I've told about this, oh, it's getting too much air. No, it wasn't getting too much air. The engine is going to draw as much air as it needs. It is not going to draw too much air. So, what it was doing though, was that the Maf sensor was getting an improper reading of how much air was going into the engine. See, the Maf sensor measures the velocity of the air, and that is dependent on A, how much air is going into the engine, and B, the size of the tube that it's going through. If the tube is a different size, then it is going to have a different velocity for the same amount of air going through. So if it is a different velocity, then it's going to think that that sensor is calibrated for a specific size of tube. And if it's any different at all, it's not going to read right. So unless you have it tuned for a different intake, don't use it. I use the Forester AC compressor, WRX power steering pump. I think that's the WRX alternator. I don't know, they're the same. But WRX fuel filter. And I don't know what this is, but it was on the fuel return line. I assume it's some sort of fuel pressure regulator, but it was on the WRX, so I used that. All of the AC is all Forester. All the pedals are all Forester. Master cylinder is Forester. Now, for right now, I have the Forester transmission in this car, but now in my last video I had the WRX transmission in it, but I had issues with that, so I'm rebuilding that, and I just needed to get the car together for now, so I've got the Forester transmission in it. So I'm rebuilding the WRX transmission, putting 411s in it, and I'm going to run that with the WRX clutch. So that's the biggest issue right now, is the WRX clutch. If you're curious more about that, then I have another video telling why. But I use the WRX or the Forester. All the interior is Forester. The only way that this car appears any different than it did before is that it has a boost gauge in it. And as you can see right there, I have a hood that I've adapted the scoop to. Well, I've adapted the hood to the scoop. I just have to paint it. And then that's going on. That's going to be the only way it appears any different than it used to. But, let's fire her up. I just had it running a second ago, but not for very long. And it was outside, so it's probably pretty cold. So it gives a little bit of the 1-2 knock that most Subarus make, but once it warms up, that goes right away. But it runs at the normal temp. I use the Forester radiator, and it runs at a normal temperature, no matter whether I'm sitting in traffic, whether I'm just idling away, whether I'm hammering on it, or just driving down the highway. It always runs a constant temperature. So let's fire it up. That's the throwout bearing squeaking. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's pretty noticeable from here. And that's gonna be changed out when I put the WRX transmission back in it. I have a check engine light for a Evap Leak. That's what that's for. I did do the harness myself, and I didn't get any abnormal codes once I figured out that misfire. I didn't get any abnormal codes, so I think I did something right. So, since the last video that I made about this car, the in-depth detailed video, I don't know if I had this CB radio or not. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. I didn't have this CB radio. I had a different one, but this one works now. I've got it on a toggle switch, so when I turn that on, both the CB comes on and this comes on. This is my factory cigarette lighter that I just put on an always hot switch with the CB radio. I got that on a relay. So this works now. I've also got a radar detector. It is Escort Passport 9500IX. I hardwired it in. It does have the smart switch. smart cord, whatever the hell you want to call it. So I just put I did some customization with the housing that usually the plug is into, and I just put the buttons and the button and the lights down here. Everything works. Like I said, I'm daily driving this car. 20 inches of vacuum at idle. At high idle anyway, vacuum goes down a little bit when the idle settles out. But it runs smooth. For exhaust, I use obviously the WRX downpipe and all the catalytic converters and everything off the WRX. And then from there, for the catback, I use the stock Forester catback, and I just deleted the muffler, and it actually sounds pretty good. So, as you can see, there's nothing there. And it's not drony at all. I mean, in fact, you can barely hear it when you're on the highway. And I'm not like a Cummins driver when I say that oh yeah, it only drones a little bit. No, it doesn't drone at all. Eventually I'm going to make a full 3-inch turbo back exhaust for this car. And actually, eventually I want to build this motor for at least 350 horse with the wheels. So that's going to be a while down the road yet. But, yeah, any questions? Just leave it in the comment section, and thanks for watching.